Hello, everyone. Welcome to Betting Sports Better. I'm your host, the Sports Boss. We've got Zach the Mac with us today as well. We're going to talk a little football. We're going to recap last week's NFL games, a little bit of college. We're going to look ahead at some of the games coming up Saturday in the college football, talk about the top 10, talk about the NFL games starting on Thursday, going into some of the matches on Sunday, and kind of just recap everything. Zach, what was some of the games you stood out this week that you liked?
Oof, the college game. I'm keeping an eye on the Georgia Bulldogs. They have been crushing their opponents left and right, but Kentucky State kept it close. Granted, Georgia won by 17. However, they kept it close. They scored 22 points, 19 more than Oregon, 11th ranked at the time did. So keep an eye on the Georgia Bulldogs. They might be having some fatigue.
Right. I had a game that I was looking at as far as college. The Clemson, I think they're at 4 now in the country, and we've got going into NC State. Big ACC matchup. Dabo's hype. He came off an overtime win against Wake Forest. That was a nail-biter. NC State's scrappy. They got some speed in the running backs. What's your take on that?
I think it's going to be an exciting game. The past 5 years, dating back to even Deshaun Watson being there, NC State has been a thorn in Clemson's side. Every time they push them, they take them right there. But Clemson's always been able to pull away because they've got the better talent, they've got the better coaching. However, NC State, like you said, scrappy team, very scrappy team, and they're going to make it an interesting one this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And also, talking about college, Texas Tech, man, great game with Texas.
Oh, yeah.
K-State took it down against Oklahoma. On noon, October 1st, Saturday, we've got Texas Tech. They're actually plus 8 points at Kansas State. I look for that to be a shootout.
That's going to be a shootout. The Big 12 now, shootout central. Texas got offense. Texas Tech has the offense with the ghost of Patrick Mahomes hanging back there. K-State, surprisingly, finally it's all clicking, merging together, and they can take advantage of these rest of these programs going through those lulls. They can take advantage of it and sneak out probably a Big 12 title. Yeah.
Now, K-State, that quarterback Martinez, he's a transfer from Nebraska, I think. He looked phenomenal this past week in that upset. Another game I like looking at, West Virginia at Texas. They got West Virginia catching 9.5. The game is in Texas. That was a shootout last week. West Virginia handled it. I think last week's show, for our members, we gave out the West Virginia play over Virginia Tech. I like that game. I wouldn't be surprised West Virginia actually sneaks one in.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely taking them with the points is something we're looking at. That game's at 7:30. The top 10, last night I was looking at came out. So I believe we've got Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan at 4, Clemson's 5. You've got Southern Cal 7, Kentucky ranked 7, Tennessee's at 8. Oak State's at 9, and NC State's at 10.
Yep.
And you've got Bama at Arkansas, which that was a crazy game.
Oh, my gosh.
Arkansas, they had it, the doink off the field goal, it rejected it back out. They did everything but win.
Yep.
That's going to be a good game. Michigan at Iowa. Iowa always plays them strong.
They do.
The Tennessee, I think, is idle. Oak State at Baylor is an interesting game. And then there was another one, I think, at noon, or maybe 2 o'clock our time, since they're out west. Oregon State at Utah. Utah came out of the gates losing to Florida in that last play. I respect Utah. I had them down this year to make a good run. Oregon State obviously laid an egg the other night against USC.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Oregon State at Utah game going off at 2 o'clock Saturday?
I think it's going to be a critical Pac-12 matchup. You got both teams are sitting at 3-1, and realistically, it's college football. Anything goes. Any given Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. That's the beauty that any given day, college football team can pull it off.
That's right. Good stuff. Let me go into something. Yeah, so NFL, okay, look, opening week was in the indication of what we're going to have.
Yes.
It was spot on. So the close games, the overtime, the ties week 1, then week 2, we had some crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We had teams that were down, Miami Dolphins. We had teams that were up, the Raiders that gave it up with under 30 or 40 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Now we go into week 3, and you're talking about the Raiders down to the wire on the comeback, 2-point conversion to tie it. They didn't get it. Tampa Bay going off right before that, 2 points to tie against Green Bay. They didn't get it. Bills-Miami game, great game. If you didn't see it, you should.
Oh, yeah.
Bills on the drive, receiver doesn't get out of bounds. Josh Allen comes up, 2, 1. So we ended that night on the crazy day. San Fran gives up a safety. It's a baseball score. They get a chance. They're driving back, kick a field goal. They obviously turned the ball over, but it was just a lot of intense, bang your head type weekend.
For sure.
What was one of the games that you enjoyed watching or stood out?
Man, I kind of wrote about in the article earlier this week, but that Miami-Buffalo game, that was just two tough teams going at it. You got the Miami bringing the heat, and you got Buffalo and Josh Allen. Those two teams just proved they're the class of the AFC right now. Both in-division rivals, they just had each other's numbers. We thought Miami was going to take the top off. Buffalo's secondary is injured. They're down to street-level guys right now. Hell, give me a call. I'll put me in an defensive back right now.
I hear you.
I can do a little something every day.
I like that.
But at the end of the day, it was just two teams heading at it. And I think what really encapsulated that game is post-game, you got Tua, you got Josh Allen. They're embracing each other. Josh Allen's leaning on Tua right now. They're feeling the heat. Both teams, that's just mutual respect between two hard-nosed competitors. So that was just an exciting game overall, win or lose.
Nice. Now, last week it was plugged in as Bills #1 in the NFL, Kansas City #2. Yep. Philadelphia 3, some people could argue Chargers, and so on. After seeing Week 3 wrap up, who do you think would be the #1 team? Since there's only 2 undefeated teams, but after watching them, player for player, offense, defense, who would you say the #1 team in the NFL is right now?
For sure. It's even though they just took a loss, I still think the Bills are the #1 team.
Nice.
From top to bottom, they're the most complete team in the NFL. They have solid coaching. They have solid quarterback play. The only fatal flaw that can catch up with them is that running back situation. They have got to figure out and balance that off. Josh Allen's their leading rusher. That's not sustainable throughout the entire season, so he's got to delegate that out to his running backs. He's got 2 good ones in Devin Singletary and James Cook. Lean on those guys. They're young backs, and they will fight hard for Josh Allen.
Nice. So, any lean right now on a Super Bowl pick? Can we get a quick future pick?
My heart is telling me this, and I have 2 close friends. My mom's from the Buffalo area, so I'm picking the Bills. I have a very, very, very good friend. It's kind of like an adoptive mother to me. She's outside of Philly. I want to see the Bills-Philly matchup. It's going to be 2 exciting teams.
Yeah, that's a great forecast. I enjoy Philly. I was watching the last 2 years of the drafts and what they gave up and building this team, just like Miami. Even some of my friends that live in Miami and fans, we'll believe it when we see it.
Correct.
And so I was telling them, what they're doing in their off-field acquisitions and trades. They're putting together something solid.
They are.
And it shows right now. So Philly, to me, is a very scary team. They're fast. The quarterback reminds me of Cam Newton. He's running the ball a lot, his size. The receivers are super, super solid. The chemistry is there. I can't count out some of the teams in the NFC or the AFC going into the season. Obviously, I had Bills as one of the best teams overall, well-rounded. I think Ken Dorsey is doing a great job. His enthusiasm, of course, as we all saw with the little 12-second outbreak, which, I have nothing wrong with that. And even the players are tweeting and stuff saying they have no problem with it. Going down to recap, Colts upset in Kansas City 2017.
Yep.
That was a good position for the Colts. The whole world was betting on Kansas City. The shock was in. What's your take on the Colts?
The Colts have got to figure themselves out. You've got Matt Ryan. He's finding himself in a very similar situation. Shaky offensive line play. Skilled players are not stepping up where he needs them to be. He doesn't have a Julio Jones anymore. He doesn't have a Calvin Ridley. He's got Michael Pittman Jr., who was out this past week, but he needs these younger players to step up and lean on Jonathan Taylor. There's a reason why he lit the world on fire last year. He can replicate that. He hasn't had that tread that most running backs see through college, through the early parts of the NFL. But get him more dynamic in that offense, and he will take you very far.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is everybody was just all over the Colts. That's who's going to win. That's who's going to win. Writing off Tennessee, writing off Jacksonville. And then out of nowhere, the Colts kind of lay an egg the first 2 weeks. In Jacksonville, let me tell you something. New coach, the chemistry's there. Trevor Lawrence is a machine. And right now they're leading the division, and their schedule dictates. Hey, watch out. Jacksonville's kind of scary.
It's very favorable.
It's the one that's not being talked about before season. It sheds a lot of light as it gets going on. Vikings over Lions. I know that Lions is your squad. Vikings had the game at the end. Lions kind of had it to win, kind of gave it away.
They did.
Lions are a scrappy team. You know, they're just one card short of a full deck, it seems like.
Yep.
I'm not writing them off. They still, will they get their total win for the futures that Vegas has? I don't know. It seems like they're going to be in a dogfight every week.
Yes.
I said in the beginning that there's a lot of value on the Lions, taking them with the plus money or even taking them on the money line sometimes. That was a good game to watch.
It was.
You know, Vikings came off a barn burner. Philly handed them on the previous Monday night. Ravens taking down Patriots. That was an interesting game. Dogfight, high scoring, aggressive. Belichick's defense. Both teams came to win, period. 37-26 final score on that. What's your take on that?
You know, that's a historic matchup we've seen. You know, Brady, Flacco, the Ravens team throughout that early 2000s, the 2010s. It's like you've seen these two teams are just destined to fight each other. Fast forward to today, we've got two completely different styles of teams. The Patriots, yes, it's still Bill Belichick, but he's starting to learn he can adapt to the NFL. His defenses are always like bamboo. They bend, they do not break. Lamar Jackson can break you, though. He's proving why. He's pushing for another MVP award and trying to reset that quarterback market in money.
Yeah, his numbers are sick. His numbers are, you know, to come out with no agent, no contract, he's just going to go ahead and prove himself. You know, they would have been better off granting his wish in numbers before because his performance right now is dictating probably 30% more than what his numbers were prior. So good for him.
Exactly.
You know, Bengals had, you know, started out kind of light, maybe Super Bowl hangover. 27. I think it was 27-12, 27-10. I don't have that down. So Bengals took the Jets, and they, you know, no problem. I didn't even think they had the gas pedal all the way down in that game. I think the Bengals are starting to come together. This Thursday night is cool. The new uniforms, I got to look at it. So they're in all white, you know, with the black stripe. It looks cool. It's Thursday night. They're at home because Bengals, I don't know if people realize this, I think they opened up at home and then they were on the road the last two games, and so now they get to host Miami, who Miami's coming off a brutal, hard-fought Baltimore, come from behind, and then as we saw, went into South Beach, 102 temperature, and was in a dogfight till the end. A lot of hard hits, a lot of ice baths all week, short week. Since he's at home, they had a pretty relaxed game against the Jets. I'm on that game, you know, for the members that are, you know, with the show, and for me personally, and anybody that has a subscription for their memberships to get our picks. That is a game that's circled, and I have a lot of lean on a team in that game. Thursday night game is interesting to me. Eagles, they kind of went and handled business. I mean, 24-8 over Washington. I think Washington is galaxies away from being a competitive, and we kind of knew that. Jags 38, Chargers 10. That was interesting. Chargers are depleted, but the Jags showed up. I think we were talking yesterday a little bit. So Trevor Lawrence, 0-9 on the road, got his first win on the road against the Chargers. There's a guy named Peyton Manning started out.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, 0-9, first road win was against the Chargers in Charger Stadium. Just a little facts, a little fun facts. Rams 20, Cardinals 12. That game kind of looked like it was going to be a barn burner. Cardinals kind of made it competitive.
They did.
I'm not writing the Cardinals off. They are missing some key players. Rams are very beatable. They can get in their own way. Falcons 27, Seahawks 23. That was in Seattle. I've always liked Mariota. You know, he was it was a backup at the Raiders. He was great at Oregon. He's given life to that Falcons team.
He does. Well, Coach Arthur Smith's done a great job with a young team. He even said it in a press conference this week. He's proud to coach his team. He's got young players that are buying in, and he can grow with them. That's a beautiful marriage to have that. You know, Mariota, he's been there, done it on the high levels in the college football worlds. Being with the Titans, being the backup for the Raiders, and he came in and saved the day a couple times for them. So he's definitely earned this extra shot, more than just being a bridge quarterback for Desmond Ridder, who's waiting in the wings. He can definitely take control and lead this team somewhere. There's bought in. The team has one goal in their mind, is to win.
Yeah, I think he's got the troops surrounding him for sure. There's a lot of chemistry, and they're leaning on him, and the belief in Mariota from the other teammates is there. Panthers 14. Hold on. I've got down. I'm sorry. Packers 14, Bucks 12. I misread it. I watched that whole game. That was interesting. Packers came in there sharp, tuned up. Bucks, looked a little lethargic. Defense was getting after Brady. He is missing some key players. They are coming back this week, is what I read. Once again, the only way to beat Brady is to keep him on the bench.
Correct.
That came down to last second 2-point conversion. And really, they ran it up the middle. It was wide open, but they had a penalty, so they had to redo it. That first 2 points was dead on the easy. The guy walked in, and, of course, the penalty took it away. Broncos 11, San Fran 10. That was kind of watching paint dry. Baseball score. I had that game, San Fran, just to win money line, not the 1.5. The safety kind of took that away. So some interesting games, a lot of conversations, a lot of scrappy teams. A lot of scores, man, right there within the 6 or 7s. Some less than that. Moving forward to this week, Thursday night, we just talked about it. Dolphins at Cincy. That line opened at 4. It's down to 3.5, maybe 3. I like Cincy in this game. I'll go ahead and say it, depending on the number. But I'm definitely leaning with Cincy. Then we've got the game in London. I think the Saints are already out there. Vikings are en route. What time does that game go off, you said earlier?
9:30 a.m.
9:30 a.m.
Your alarms early, folks.
So Sunday is an all-day event. We wake up 9:30, go right into the 1 o'clocks. Good stuff, stuff. All right, so Browns at Atlanta. Speaking of them and Mariota, that's interesting. And then Myles Garrett was in an accident. Thank God he's all right. I read that. I could see Atlanta kind of sneaking one out.
I can see Atlanta sneaking this out, but it's all going to come down to Jacoby Brissett. He's stepped in very well for the Browns. He's taking control. He's showing a little bit more why he's a proven backup quarterback in this league. He can start for teams. He sat and learned under Brady early days in New England. He started for the Colts. He started for other teams. He's been a proven, reliable individual for whatever team. Solid dude.
Totally solid.
He's got Amari Cooper on the outside. That defense for the Browns is still good. And, of course, you can't count out Nick Chubb.
That's right.
The dude is just a bowling ball.
He's consistent week in, week out. Now, your team, the Lions, Seattle at Detroit, that's that game, to me, if Lions show up and do what they're supposed to and do what they have so far, minus some of the turnovers or the 3rd and 1s and not capitalizing, to me, Seattle has got a few good cards, still way short of a full deck. The Lions, if they play their A game, I don't see the Lions having a problem taking Seattle out.
The Lions should win. It's going to be key is to keep Geno Smith, keep pressure on him. The Falcons last week weren't able to do that, and he was able to sit back and just pick them apart until he had to press the ball down the field. You force him into pressing those decisions, he's going to fall apart. It showed why he did it with the Jets. He's done it wherever he's gone. But like most quarterbacks, if you harass Brady, he's going to fall apart. We've seen that over his magnificent career.
Interesting.
But even with the Lions, if they can just show up, they can play solid football, they should walk out with a W.
I agree with that. Now, this game, I don't think I'd want to watch. There's no offense, but Titans at Colts, I'm probably going to pass. That could be just a kind of what I call watching paint dry. Titans Raiders were kind of a boring drag-out game. I thought it would be. But the Colts, it's like Titans at Colts. One doesn't want to win and one can't. That's the way I don't have much interest. Probably won't watch that game.
The only time I'd be interested is if I was playing in a fantasy league like now, watching Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor, because they should just be running the ball all day.
Exactly. Next game, I think we're going into 4 o'clocks. Maybe this is still on the board at 1. Bears at Giants. Giants last night. I had Dallas. I loved it. Giants are a scrappy team.
They are.
The coach has got a lot to do with it. The team's rallying around him. There's a lot of belief there. The Giants look good. The quarterback, he probably looked the best I've seen him last night. Stayed in the pocket, took some licks. He's not afraid to run.
Exactly.
He's had 2 or 3 30-yard run plays last night. Here's a game that it's interesting. Jags at the Eagles. Eagles are laying 6.5. That game is going to be interesting.
It's going to be a fun game, I think. If you got Doug Peterson coming back to where he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, finally blessing that city with a Super Bowl win. I think it's going to be an interesting game. Look for some solid gameplay.
What's your lean on that? What's your lean on that? If you had to make a pick right now, who's coming
right now?
Who's coming out with a W?
See, I'm still going with the Eagles. They've shown it week in and week out. They're having that consistency, and the key to winning in the league is consistency. You can't have these peaks and valleys. There's growing pains and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they've got to be able to be consistent, and I think the Eagles have shown that. Trevor Lawrence is now coming into his own. That first season, just throw it away. I'm going to block that from my memory.
That's right.
Don't pay attention to year one. Throw it away. But for him to come into his own, he's now developing a rapport with Christian Kirk, which they gave a lot of money to. And that defense is starting to show some life and show some creativity. And Doug Peterson, he's a brilliant offensive mind. He learned under Andy Reid, so you can never count that out. They're going to make it interesting, but I think the Eagles are going to walk away with the W.
Gotcha. The Jets at Steelers. Steelers minus 3.5.
Yep.
If you're a Steelers fan or a Jets fan, fine. I don't have a lean on that game. Not interested in it. Probably won't watch it.
I'm gonna take a nap.
Yeah, that's right. Now next up, I don't think I'm gonna miss this one. We've got the Bills at the Ravens.
Yep.
Bills' early line was 2.5, 3.5, I think. That's going to be an interesting game.
I think it'll be a fun game. You've got two potent offenses like the Bills coming off that hard-nosed game, that loss. I don't think the loss took a lot away from them, even though early reactions were very passionate. They're going to bounce back. They're professionals. They know what it takes to win this league. They have that ultimate chip on their shoulder, and they're not going to be satisfied until they walk away with the Super Bowl.
So with what you said, you had the Bills going to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Is that any indication that you have no doubt Bills are going to take down the Ravens, or do you think it's going to be
win.
Lamar Jackson show?
Lamar Jackson, he's going to show out. He's going to do it. He's playing for his legacy. He's playing for the contract. He's playing for whatever his reasons are. He's playing to win, and I don't doubt that.
So Bills are going on the road to Baltimore and going to come out with that victory.
I think they're going to come out with that win.
Interesting. Here's one, though, as far as on the betting market, and Chargers at Houston. Totally depleted. I think getting a receiver back, quarterback still busted up with some ribs. Chargers -6. Texans are a scrappy team. They're probably ranked, I think I've got them at one of the worst in the NFL.
Right.
However, they are scrappy.
They are good. Yeah.
Every Sunday somebody forgot to tell them they were supposed to lose. They fight. I could see that number coming down. Chargers minus even as low as 3.5 or 4.
Yep.
I like the Texans. I liked them opening week against the Colts. The whole world was all over the Colts. The Colts are going to win, and Colts this, Colts that. If you like, to the viewers, if you like Texans, get to the window earlier than later because that number will come down.
Oh yeah.
Cardinals at Panthers. Interesting game.
It should be very interesting. You got that matchup of two former number 1 picks. I think it's really going to come down to can Kyler Murray take over this game, and for the other side, the Panthers, can Christian McCaffrey stay healthy, please? For Panthers fans, please have him stay healthy. But feed him the ball. Your offense is built around him, and you've brought in Baker Mayfield. You've got Sam Darnold, the first and third picks from that draft. Develop the game plan. You've got to give them some support.
Interesting. All right, now we go to one that I definitely would like to probably pay attention to. We've got the Patriots at Green Bay. Interesting opening line. Yep. Green Bay -10. Lambeau Field is going to bring in the New England Patriots coming off a dogfight with Baltimore.
Yep.
What's your opinion on that game?
I think the Packers should take this one. That defense, it kept Brady in check, even though he's missing 2 all-pro receivers. Mac Jones is expected to miss a couple weeks with a significant lower leg injury, maybe a high knee sprain. I'm not sure yet. They're still waiting to confirm. They've either Brian Hoyer is their backup or rookie Bailey Zappi. Both established quarterbacks. Bailey Zappi had a phenomenal career in college at Western Kentucky. Brian Hoyer, he's been around. He's a true professional. It's just with how these teams are matched up, I think the Packers defense is going to just overwhelm the Patriots offense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm leaning towards Green Bay right now. In fact, that line doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
Nothing against New England or their fans. Green Bay right now is picking up speed.
Yep.
And we've got some interest in that game as well. Finalizing up Sunday night football. Can't be better than this. Kansas City at Tampa Bay. Kansas City started out as -2.5. This game's got all the bells and whistles. A lot of excitement. This week starts off Thursday night with a great win, Dolphins at Cincy, and Sunday night, Kansas City at Tampa Bay.
Yep.
2 great quarterbacks, 2 great organizations. Seen them in the Super Bowl in the past few years. What's your opinion on this game?
If the Chiefs can not have Patrick Mahomes running for his life like he did the last time these two teams matched, they should be fine. They should hang in that game, and they should be able to carve up that defense. However, they have got to keep him clean. They've got to keep the grass off his jersey. Travis Kelce has got to be his go-to person.
Interesting. Let me see anything that I forgot. So, on another aspect for our members on the show with what we do with picks and advising people, right now I had us week 1, 2-0. Week 2, we had 2 wins. Week 3, we had 1 college win and a Monday Night Football. I didn't give out, but we did play Dallas. We also, on the flip side of the winning thing, week 2, the NFL, we had Washington came in as a loser. Raiders gave it up as a. Week 3, we gave out a parlay. We did a 3-team money line with the injuries and whatnot, but that was a train wreck. So that parlay didn't come in. However, we did give out West Virginia, so 1 for 1. So we've got 3 plays that didn't come in so far for our members on the Betting Sports Better, and we have 6 wins. So 6-3 right now going into week 4 in the NFL and week 5 in college. Some interesting stuff coming up. We'll for our members that want to get our picks when we release them, that'll be Thursday. But we do have a couple games that we're very interested in. And college, real quick, I wanted to say something. Texas Tech lost to Texas 37-34 in overtime. Arkansas lost 23-21 over Texas A&M with the doink field goal, as they're calling it. We've got Arkansas is playing Bama, we discussed, and we've got Texas Tech playing
Kansas State.
Kansas State.
Yep.
I like those 2 games.
I do too.
You know, the side that I'm on, I think I'm on the right side, obviously. So far, we're on the right side more than wrong. That's always great. Dallas was a great play last night. I think we've got a neat matchup this week. And, you know, thanks for coming on the show, like always.
Absolutely.
The information, Mac, the Mac, Zach the Mac, as I call him. Any questions, any stats, he's got it. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, if you're at a loss, watch the Sports Boss.